Well, hello there. Gather round, folks, because international diplomacy just took another delightful swerve into the utterly bizarre. Picture this. One former US president, known for his communication style, decides to label one current Russian president as, and I quote, absolutely crazy. Yes, you heard that right, crazy. Not misguided, not problematic, but full-blown, capital letters crazy. It's the kind of playground insult you'd expect before a juice box confiscation, not a statement about a nuclear-armed leader. And then, the response from the Kremlin, oh, it's a doozy. Did they fire back with their own schoolyard taunts? Did they issue stern condemnations? No, nothing so predictable. Instead, they diagnosed the situation with the calm, collected air of a therapist dealing with a particularly overwrought patient. Their spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, suggested that perhaps Mr. Trump, and indeed others, might be suffering from a touch of emotional overload. Emotional overload. It's so beautifully understated, so wonderfully passive-aggressive. This whole exchange, which unfolded around May 26, 2025, is less a diplomatic incident and more like a script from a particularly unhinged reality TV show. You've got accusations of insanity, gentle suggestions of emotional instability, and all of this playing out against the grim backdrop of Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. It's a wild ride and we're all just trying to hang on. So, what are we to make of this? Is it a calculated move? A genuine outburst? A sign that international relations has finally jumped the shark and is now just flailing about in the water? We're gonna dive into this delightful mess. We'll look at what prompted Trump's outburst, why the Kremlin chose such a peculiar turn of phrase, and what this all means for the delicate, often terrifying dance of global politics. Because honestly, if this is the new normal, we all might need a lie down and a very, very strong cup of tea. So let's set the scene. The date is May 26th, 2025. Trump declares Putin has gone absolutely crazy, yes, in all caps, reacting to Russia's largest aerial assault on Ukraine. Hundreds of drones and missiles killing at least a dozen people. Trump also criticized Zelensky, a classic Trumpian two-for-one deal. Now, over to Moscow, where the Kremlin, faced with this rather direct accusation of their leader's sanity, had a choice. They could have escalated, denied, or perhaps even ignored it, but no, they chose something far more interesting.
Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, a man whose job often involves navigating a rhetorical minefield, stepped up to the plate. His response to Trump calling Putin absolutely crazy? He suggested that Trump, and indeed everyone absolutely, might be experiencing emotional overload. Yes, that's the official line. Not wrong, not lying, just a bit emotionally overloaded, like a toddler after too much sugar at a birthday party.
Think about that phrasing for a moment. Emotional overload. It's so beautifully dismissive without being overtly aggressive. It's the diplomatic equivalent of patting someone on the head and saying, there, dear, you're just a bit flustered.
Peskov elaborated, this is a very crucial moment, which is associated, of course, with the emotional overload of everyone absolutely, and with emotional reactions. He even doubled down stating, we believe this is emotional overload. It's a masterclass in deflection, really. It subtly paints Trump as overwrought and excitable, while positioning the Kremlin as the calm, rational adult in the room.
Interestingly, Peskov didn't stop there. He also managed to thank Trump for supposedly initiating negotiations between Moscow and Kiev, while simultaneously noting that such talks naturally come with, you guessed it, emotional overload. It's a clever bit of linguistic jujitsu. He's acknowledging Trump's self-proclaimed efforts for peace, but framing any criticism from Trump as a symptom of this overload. So why this particular response? Why not a more forceful denial or a counter-accusation? Perhaps the Kremlin sees no benefit in a direct slanging match with Trump, especially given his unpredictable nature. Whatever the reason, emotional overload is a phrase that's going to stick. It's the new alternative facts for the geopolitical set. A beautifully vague way to say, you're being ridiculous, but we're too polite or too strategic to say so directly. Section 4. A bromance for the ages, Trump and Putin's greatest hits and misses. To truly appreciate the current crazy versus emotional overload showdown, we need a little trip down memory lane. Because the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, oh, it's been a roller coaster. A strange, often baffling roller coaster where the safety harnesses seem optional and the destination is anyone's guess. It hasn't always been name-calling and armchair psychology. In fact, for a long time it was more like an awkward, long-distance courtship played out on the world stage. This makes the current spat all the more intriguing, like watching two old frenemies suddenly remember they don't actually like each other. Cast your minds back to 2015. Putin, ever the charmer, described Trump, then a presidential candidate, as a colorful, talented person. High praise indeed. Trump naturally lapped it up. Then, in 2016, Trump famously or infamously urged Russia to find Hillary Clinton's missing emails, an invitation for foreign interference, or just locker room talk on a global scale. You decide. The point is, there was a certain rapport, a mutual appreciation society of two perhaps. This wasn't your typical frosty US-Russia dynamic. It was something special. And by special, I mean deeply concerning to many foreign policy experts. Even as recently as the week before this crazy comment in May 2025, there were reports of a friendly phone conversation between the two. They even had a 2-hour call discussing a US proposed ceasefire deal for Ukraine. So this history of mutual admiration, or at least mutual utility, makes Trump's absolutely crazy remark even more jarring. It's a sharp deviation from the script we've become accustomed to. Section 5. The internet explodes memes, misery, and utter bewilderment. Naturally, as soon as Trump's crazy hit the digital airwaves, the internet did what it does best. It exploded. Social media became a swirling vortex of hot takes, memes, and a general sense of wait, what now? You had your political pundits offering very serious analysis, of course, but mostly, you had ordinary people trying to process this latest episode of As the World Turns alarmingly. It was a global water cooler moment, if the water cooler was on fire and also tweeting.
The memes, oh, the glorious memes, imagine. Trump as a psychiatrist diagnosing Putin who is reclining on a couch. Putin as a Zen master, calmly meditating while Trump rages in the background. Twitter, or X, or whatever Elon is calling it this week, was awash with people saying things like, so Trump thinks Putin is crazy, and Putin thinks Trump is having a meltdown. Is this diplomacy, or a celebrity feud? #emotional overload #Trump Putin. Another gem. My therapist told me I have emotional overload. Turns out I'm just qualified to be a world leader. Who knew?
Beyond the humor, though, there was a palpable sense of anxiety. People weren't just laughing, they were also genuinely concerned. Comments like, jokes aside, this is terrifying. These are powerful men with access to nuclear weapons. Can we please have some adults in charge? #scared were common. There was a widespread feeling that this kind of rhetoric, this public name-calling and psychological sparring, was not just unseemly, but actively dangerous. It highlighted the fragility of international relations when such volatile personalities are involved. The world watched, half amused, half horrified, like watching a tightrope walker juggle chainsaws.
And then there was the sheer bewilderment. Many struggled to reconcile Trump's past praise for Putin with his current condemnation.
This whiplash effect left many commentators and citizens alike scratching their heads. Was this a calculated political pivot, a genuine emotional reaction from Trump, or simply the latest example of his famously inconsistent worldview? The internet offered no definitive answers, only more questions, more jokes, and a lingering sense of unease about what it all might mean for the future. Section 6. Reading between the lines. What this kerfuffle means for world peace. Spoiler, it's complicated. Trump's harsh words for Putin could signal a shift in US-Russia relations. But like most things in international politics, it's complicated. It's like trying to assemble IKEA furniture in the dark while riding a unicycle. Possible, but fraught with peril and likely to end in tears. Or in this case, geopolitical instability. The implications for global diplomacy are unsettling. Welcome to Diplomacy, the reality show no one asked for. So, there you have it. Trump calls Putin absolutely crazy. The Kremlin diagnoses it as emotional overload, all this while a brutal war rages in Ukraine.
If this isn't a perfect snapshot of our current geopolitical moment, I don't know what is. It's less about diplomatic statements and more about social media outbursts. Welcome to the new abnormal, where international relations feel like a reality show. And no, we can't change the channel.